Hey, what's up everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day you are deciding to watch this video. So I am providing an updated version of the main graph making for the data collection project. I'm doing this for a couple of reasons, but the big thing to take home from this is to make sure that you are just making the adjustments from whatever semester you're working for this on, or working on this. And so if you're working, in 2026, you'll be doing this for 2025. But also I need to make sure that we're doing all the right type of chart, as well as, how to get our spreadsheet looking really nice and pretty for the following graphs. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you need any assistance with any of these processes. This will hopefully help you in the long run. But yeah, so just make sure that you ask questions along the way. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm working in Google Sheets. You're welcome to work in Excel if you prefer. That's not what I meant to click. So when you downloaded your data from Visual Crossing, so that should have been step one. I don't have a video for that, but just follow the directions on the lab and or on the project, excuse me, and should be all set. So you should have a spreadsheet with a ton of information. Well, we don't need all of this information, and so to make everything a little bit less busy, we're gonna make a new sheet. So down here at the very bottom, kind of underneath my face, there's a little plus sign. So that plus sign will just make a new sheet within this whole new spreadsheet. So we're gonna go back to our data set. So just make sure that your data set is correct for the guidelines of the project that you are working on. For the one that I'm demoing right now, you should be collecting for January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024. The adjustments here will only be the year. That will be the main adjustment, but everyone's going to do January to December. From here, we're going to select a few of these columns to copy and paste into that new spreadsheet that we just made a moment ago. So to select a whole column, just go up to where the letter is, and if you click on that, you select the whole column without having to drag. It's really quite nice. From here, instead of holding the Shift key to select our next columns, because then it will select everybody in between, we want to hold the Command or Control key depending on your machine. I have a Mac, so I'm going to hold Command, and we want temp, dew, humidity, and precip. We just want those 5 columns. The date, time, temperature, dew point temperature, humidity, and precipitation. Command or Control C to copy, go back to or go into your fresh sheet, and Command V to paste. Real nice and easy. From here, now we're going to make our graphs. This is not that much different from the other it's not too much different, I guess, from the other video that I've created, but some things just look a little bit different, so I just wanted to aid in that confusion. So remember, your values are going to correspond to whatever location you have chosen. But anyway, so now we have 5 rows of data. We want to make our first sort of main graph. So that main graph consists of temperature, dew point, and humidity. We can't put precipitation on this graph as well. The software that we're using does not have the capability of adding a third axis, so we cannot select precipitation. So we're going to include our x-axis, which is our date, our temperature and dew point for our left axis, and humidity for our right axis. And we're going to go up to Insert, Chart. So what it will probably initially come up as is a line graph, and this is not the style of graph that this tells the story properly. So to tell the right story, we want to go from line chart down to a combo. So there's like 3 varieties of line chart. Just if you hit the combo chart, that's what we're going for. So if you click on that, now this looks a bit different. But we still need to make some adjustments. So it has the style down correctly, but what we want to do is make the humidity the bar part of it, or in this case, this blue part. So to do that, we're just going to scroll down in this setup section, and we're going to eliminate or remove temperature and dew point, and we're just going to add them back in. So watch what happens as I do that. There's 3 little dots on the right of temperature. If I click on those 3 dots, there's this option to remove. Bam! Now I'm just left with dew point and humidity. But now dew is the bar, but we still want humidity to be the bar. So if I click on dew, I just remove. There we go. And now we're just going to add them back in. So I go to Add Series, Temp, Add Series, Dew, bada bing, bada boom. There we go. So now this is the baseline of the type of graph that I want in terms of humidity being the bar and temp and dew being the lines. Big problem here though is that right now everybody is on the same axis, right? So we just need to put humidity on the right axis. So an easy way to do that is just to click on any of the blue bars, and the series drop down in our customize part of the chart editor pops up. We've done this hopefully several times now in our labs, but just a reminder, just scroll down the axis and put it on the right axis. Yay! From here, you need to make a much better title and add your axis titles. You can modify the colors that you have here. Say like you hate the color blue, you know, for the humidity part, I kind of like making it a lighter color. So maybe like light blue or kind of light green is your vibe. Maybe for temperature, you don't like the color red because red and green aren't really grooving together. Maybe purple or something. So then, I don't know, I'll make dew point as color black. So that's I personally really like this color combination. I think it looks really nice. Something else that you can do, especially if you have a location like the one that I am showing, which I am showing Papeete, which is in French Polynesia. I'm just moving all of this over here, just kind of down a little bit. So if your location is looking like mine, something that you can do is modify the bounds, because you can't really tell a whole lot of this story, right, of the variation in temperature and dew point, because the range of those values is really quite small, right? So you can, okay, I'm observing like, hey, my dew point is not going lower than 50, my maximum of my temperature is not going above 100, so let's modify these bounds. To modify the bounds, on the left side, I just click on the left numbers here. Now my vertical axis editor comes up in my customize chart editor drop down. So I'm going to set my minimum to say 50. And now it's made that adjustment. So now I can more nicely see the like a little bit more of a stark variation in these values. You could do the same thing for humidity if you wanted to. Say like I can clearly tell it's also not very well going below 50, so kind of make that adjustment. And then this can potentially help you tell your story a bit better, especially between, or talking about the relationship between these variables. But just always recognize that you're, if you're using this, or if you have a really humid location, or not a whole lot of variation, that you're making note of that. So like it's not getting super dry. Sorry, it's like making, okay, so it's not getting super dry here, but even though it looks like it, but it doesn't get below 50% humidity. So that's our first graph. And again, your next steps for sure would be to change the title, make it more descriptive, be really intentional on putting everything that should be in there, like weather variables for whatever location you're doing, for whatever year you're doing, put your name in the subtitle, potentially put the source of the data, which is Visual Crossing, and then making sure you put your axis titles here as well. Temperature and dew point should be on the left axis. Include your units. Humidity should be on the right axis. Also include your units. And date time, I would maybe make that look a little bit nicer. Your second graph that you are required to make is that of just of precipitation. This one's so much easier. So if you just select the date time column, so column A, and hold the Command or Control key, and select the precip column. Real easy. Go to Insert, Chart, and excellent. You don't have to do any other modifications here other than make the title much more descriptive, include your units in the axis title, and potentially change this title and put your name in the subtitle and potentially the source of information. So that is essentially the baseline for what I would like for the first two graphs. So I'll make a separate video for the second set of graphs, or for the third graph. But this hopefully should be a good baseline for what I'm looking for the kind of main graph and the precipitation graph. So just make sure combo graph for main graph, put humidity on the right axis, temperature and dew point on the left axis, have all your titles all pretty, and then precipitation graph, just make your titles all pretty. That one's pretty simple. And there will be a separate video for the third climate table and resulting graph. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions.